If you are listening to this, I sure hope that you either have wax in your ears or you're tied to a mast. Otherwise, good luck. Welcome to Triple Click, where we bring the siren song to you. Today, we are opening up the mailbag and answering some questions about all sorts of things. We got some good ones this week. I'm excited to get into it. I'm Jason Schreier.
I'm Kirk Hamilton.
And I'm Maddy Myers.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hello. We're back.
We are.
Back
Here
again.
we are. Back to make a podcast.
We are back for another episode. We have sailed the seas and fought the gods and made it home.
This is the same
We
thing
should-
you
we
said
should keep
before our
saying
Odyssey.
But that's why it's a perfect segue into...
I actually said that at the end of our Odyssey episode, and so it transitions.
And at the beginning of our Odyssey. I was just listening to
into
continuity. This is like a Christopher Nolan movie. You repeat an idea multiple
Right.
times and then reference back to it, so you learn new things about it in a different
It
context.
says something
like it.
different
I
about
like
us
it.
now that we're saying it again. It means something new.
It's get ready for 10 years of this. So if you would like to know what we are referencing, you should become a Maximum Fun member and help us make this show possible, because in addition to supporting the show, making it so we can do this every week, you will also get access to our monthly bonus episodes, including the one we just did about the Odyssey, a very fun conversation about Christopher Nolan's excellent new picture. And to do that, you can go to MaximumFun.org/join and sign up and support Triple Click and get some cool stuff. A massive backlog of bonus episodes, including the one we just did.
Yeah, might put a little teaser of that in the feed.
It's exciting.
And, then people get to hear a little bit of what you're missing out on. So people
is
should definitely
exciting.
join that. It was a great conversation, I think. I had a
Very,
great
very
time.
fun.
I think it was a really good episode.
And one other thing that you should know is that we will be playing through the video game Soma as our yearly Triple Click predictions bet game, and talking about that in 2 weeks on August 13th. So if you would like to play along with us, you should do so by then.
Can I make a little Soma note/recommendation, possibly for the
Please.
two of you, but for listeners as well? I started playing that and was reminded that there are two ways you can play through Soma. So Soma is a pretty scary game at times. It is a horror game, and you have to creep away from very scary monsters that hunt you through some of the environments. And you can play it in safe mode, which means that the monsters will not hurt you. They'll still be there, they're still scary, but they don't hurt you. But the thing to keep in mind is that you can't actually switch midway through your game. So you have to choose at the beginning. And I would say look into it if you're thinking about playing it. And especially if you get scared of stuff, or if you just find like stealth, like being hunted sequences where a monster is kind of present and you're having to do stuff around the environment while a monster hunts you. Like if you find that stressful and you just want to hang with the story, go for safe mode. It's fine. The story is the main thing, and that's what we're really going to be talking about in our episode. The story is what makes me love the game. So just wanted to warn people that I don't know if it tells you, like you can't switch midway through if you decide you're not liking, being killed by monsters. So bear that in mind as you're making that decision.
That's very annoying that you can't switch.
Yeah.
I know.
I appreciate knowing this because I had been having this internal debate as someone who had previously played Soma in scary version and found it pretty stressful. And I was like, do I want to play safe mode for the second time through? And now I'm thinking I will, because I already know what it's like to sneak past those guys.
Yeah.
And apparently I need to make that decision just one time. So thanks, Kirk.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing because I played it already, and I kind of just want to remember the story and go through all
Same.
of that. And, yeah.
Jason, the choice is now up to you. As a first-time player.
Well,
Won't judge either way.
Having played through a demo of Alien Isolation 2 at Summer Game Fest and completely hated that experience, I think I will be doing safe mode for this one.
It's not, and
Totally
it's not
fair.
as stressful
It's
as Alien
not.
Isolation.
It's not, but I get
it's
it.
the same kind of gameplay, so for sure, it's a good reference point.
very unenjoyable experience for me. All right. Today we are doing some burning questions. We have gotten so many good questions that we might have to do another burning questions next week too, because we got this massive backlog full of great emails from listeners.
Yeah, you all are coming through.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got some
seriously.
good ones. As a reminder, you can always reach us at tripleclick@maximumfun.org. Please keep them short and keep them safe. Keep it simple. Keep it safe. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Keep it simple. Keep it short. All right, on with it. Let's do this first question. Kirk, why don't you read this first one from David?
Sure. David writes, "Hello, Jason, Maddy, and Kirk. I'm a 42-year-old listener and longtime gamer, and I have a question that's been on my mind for a bit. Do you ever have a complicated relationship with games? Not just burnout, but that nagging feeling that maybe you're wasting your time? For me, it tends to happen when I try a few games in a row that just don't click. I start wondering if I should be putting that time and energy somewhere else, until I get to one of those special games that makes me remember why I love them so much and everything makes sense again." What do you two think?
Yeah, all the time.
Totally. Very relatable.
It's I feel like we're in a little bit of a different position because everything we play can be considered for work in some capacity, whether it's a full-time job or kind of most of our jobs in the case of me and Maddy, or in the case of Kirk, a podcast job, part-time job, gig, whatever you want to call it.
Part of my
gig. Kirk's a part of the gig economy.
I would say it is a part of my overall employment picture.
Your overall, Kirk, it's so funny when people ask me what you're up to these days, and I'm like, yeah, he's a full-time podcaster. That's just what he does. He's a podcaster.
That's what most of what I do anyway.
Podcaster and musician, which is
and now
cool.
Live performer and live entertainer,
live jazz act, Kirk Hamilton. So I think I found it most pronounced. I mean, I feel this with a lot of games, regardless of like always feeling like I'm playing them for work purposes and like I'll get something out of them, at least to talk about them on the show or something like that. But I do feel it in a very pronounced way when I am playing like a live service game like Destiny, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? Why am I watching these numbers go up? This is a real waste of time, and have felt it before with other kind of monotonous games as well.
Maddy, how about you?
Yeah, me too. I feel like it's funny that we're bringing up the work aspect because if I'm having a tough time with a game or series of games for work, I will go full existential crisis and be like, have I actually made a grave error in my career direction? And should I be covering something else? I mean, it's been a while.
How many times a week
me.
Does that happen to you?
Luckily zero. It's more like it's happened to me a couple of times over many, many years of doing this. But we've all had that happen, especially if you're playing multiple games in a row for work that you don't like, and you start kind of catastrophizing, or at least I do, and I start being like, are video games just bad now? Are they just making bad ones? Are they gonna never make a good one again? And then I don't know what happens. I'll take a break, or I'll just finally play something incredible and I'll be like, it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's going to be okay. There's still something incredible about this art form that I find exciting and tantalizing and compelling, and all of those gooey words that mean nice.
Yeah, it's a relatable question for sure. David's question made me think about a review of mine that I recently reread from 2013 for our recent episode on the remake of Assassin's Creed 4. I'm going to read the opening of my review of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. The loading screen is always the same in Assassin's Creed. Your character stands, clad in the robes of his people, armed to the teeth and surrounded by empty space. A desaturated digital landscape fades into the distance and out of sight. You press the thumbstick forward and he begins to jog. What's left to do but run? And so you run. I shudder to think how many cumulative hours I've spent trapped in Assassin's Creed loading screens, running. 6, 8, half a day perhaps, staring at a screen, watching a man trapped in a digital construct within a digital construct, sprinting endlessly and getting nowhere. That was the opening of my review from 13 years ago. So
hold on,
I've felt this way for a long time.
No way you've spent that many hours. Just like that loading screen is what, like a minute, or like at most when you're like waiting for.
I played a lot of Assassin's Creed at that point, so.
And it depends on the console.
Hours. Hold on,
like some of them are taking a while to load those games. Sometimes you're in there for a few minutes.
Let's say it's like max a minute, right? That would be so 60 minutes would be an hour. To get to 6 hours would be 360 loading screens that you watch for an entire minute. I don't know about that one.
Entirely
It's
possible.
still a lot of wasted time. Even if it's like only 30 minutes, it's still like, wow, that loading screen though. It makes you think. It makes you think about what you're doing with your life.
So this is an advertisement for the PlayStation 5, really, where there's no more loading screens.
Solid state drive, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I've always found those Assassin's Creed loading screens to be rhetorically useful. And rather than nitpicking my math, I think the idea that I've always felt this way, right?
This is a show where we nitpick math, Kirk. I think you just have to accept that.
I suppose it is. So anyways, I've always felt this way. This is certainly relatable. I feel it lately. I've mentioned this before, but it takes a lot for me to not want to be just like practicing guitar. Guitar has gotten really fun as I've gotten better over the last few years. And I love practicing it. And it's such a similar kind of thing to do. Like it uses my brain similarly. It's a similar kind of pursuit. It requires repetition. But then the guitar is like, you're playing the blues and stuff. Like I'm like getting better and getting to like expressing myself and connecting to something really cool. So it's a higher bar for a game to clear now, where I'm sitting there like, all right, I'll play a little bit of this. And then I just start thinking, man, I should really be practicing. But then, as David says, I think as we've all said, then the right game comes along. And before you know it, you're back in love and playing something wonderful. I think Blueprints was that way for me last year. I really remember feeling I was a little bit in a funk and I wasn't sure, Blueprints, is this really going to do it? And then, I played 100 hours of that. And actually recently I've been finishing Cairn, the rock climbing game that I mentioned earlier this year. What a game. Holy shit. Man, it's still my favorite game of the year. It's so amazing. I really went back and I'm finishing it. I'm playing the whole thing, which is a real commitment. It's really involved and difficult. It's like a Dark Souls game. It has that same feeling. And it's just got me. And I have that same feeling of just oh man, I'm so into this. I just want to keep going. I want to experience more. I want to get better and see the rest of the story. And so it's nice to have those games that make me feel that way.
Kirk, I got Amanda playing Blueprints on the Steam machine. She just got to the underground for the first time.
Oh, really? Oh, so she's doing well. Nice.
That's a nice moment. That's a cool moment.
Frushtick is playing it too because they finally put out the colorblindness.
That's so exciting.
He and I talk about this
every
day.
I know, because it's so his kind of jam. Yeah, I know he's been talking with you.
He's actually about to come to my house in 3 hours where we're about to talk more about this.
Just his only coming over for Blueprints
now Amanda
time?
can join in. You're just going to geek
it's
out
very
about
funny.
Blueprints.
I was actually going to talk to them both about this because she's still early on, hasn't gotten to room 46 yet, and he's in the end game stuff. And he's, as you guys know, and anyone who listens to the Besties knows, he's such a spoiler phobe and so freakish about spoilers that he'll get mad if you tell him instructions for a game or something like that.
Well, even our listeners know that because he came on our show to talk about Animal Well, and we had to force him to talk about the game, and he was really reticent to do so.
So he's gotten to the point where he actually needs nudges, because there's a point in Blueprints Endgame where it's impossible to do by yourself unless you have a freakish brain or something like that. But he's so resistant to it that I keep telling him trust me, you need this nudge, and he'll be wait, give me some time, and he'll
one more day and
2 weeks.
Stare at this wall.
That's amazing.
So yes, he and I have been talking about this every day.
I'm just really glad that he gets to play it, because it was seeing someone who is so well suited to a game not be able to play it for so long was I was frustrated on his behalf.
Maybe you should create a scavenger hunt for him in real life where he has to solve a puzzle to get the hint, and that way he'll feel like he's still really experiencing. Wow. Jason, you have time for this, right? You don't have anything else going on.
Just develop an ARG for us.
Well, I try to give nudges that are subtle enough that you do have to figure.
You're very good
out,
at it.
so.
It's a skill that most people develop when having a friend play through Blueprints, and you developed it very well.
All right, let's do another question. Maddie, you want to read this one?
Sure. This one is from Luke, who writes, I was once waiting for my commuter train when a woman approached me explaining she had just come from a nearby craft fair where her phone had died and she needed to contact friends of hers she was staying with in the city. She didn't know their number, but I offered to let her use my phone to send them a Facebook message. After sending the message, she reached into her tote bag and pulled out a gorgeous hand-painted plate from the craft fair and presented it to me as a token of her gratitude. altitude. I could practically feel the completed quest XP flashing above my head. Have you ever had a similar encounter where your reality followed video game logic for a moment?
It's so funny to imagine her like ruffling through her bag and just being
great.
like, what is some shit I could just like unload on this person in exchange as a token of my appreciation. This is so funny. I love this story.
I love it. Do you two have an example? Because I actually do have one.
Oh, let me hear yours.
It's not similar to this one, but it was a moment that made me turn to Dina and be like, this is a video game. We're in a video game right now. So I'm going to count that as close enough. So we recently moved apartments and we have a room that doesn't have a ceiling light anymore. So we've had to buy some fixtures for the room so that it's not dark. And we bought one of those lamps, like a stand-up lamp that has 3 light bulb sockets in it. And it came with light bulbs, but they were really, really dim. And so we were like, okay, like let's just replace these light bulbs. And we quickly found out that it was, for one, a closed circuit or whatever you call it when you can't have one of the light bulbs not be screwed in. And we also found out that it only takes a specific either voltage or wattage, which we never determined, but we tried a series of different light bulbs and we're like looking at the numbers on the bulbs and doing math and like full video game puzzle mode of being like, okay, so these 2 light bulbs and this one work together, but those are 3 different colors, which is going to irritate us. So can we find 3 bulbs in the house or on the internet, whatever, in the hardware store that will be the right colors, but also divide into 3 in terms of the power that they're drawing? Anyway, we managed to do it, but it was hilarious. And even when the 3 bulbs arrived that we ordered, that we were like, we think these are going to be perfect, they actually didn't end up working and we ended up having to do more math. It was utterly ludicrous, but great. It was great.
Man, if only you could reload too before you made the order.
Right? I know. We wasted so much time.
That was a really wasted run.
I know. I wasted so much on that run and I needed to just like already know the puzzle solution so that I could keep advancing towards playing video games in my living room.
Well, maybe that knowledge that will be helpful later in a later puzzle.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing.
Yeah, like the puzzle of the numbers on the light bulbs is actually like foreshadowing for something else that's going to happen later in life. You never know.
Life is kind of a Metroid brain, yeah.
At least you weren't in a Assassin's Creed loading screen. Otherwise,
it's true.
Was a lot more brain stimulating than that in that moment.
You weren't
for
just
sure.
running forward into empty space.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, can you think of one, Jason? I can't really, but I do have I have something to add.
I don't have a specific like video. I'm in a video game moment, but my life and my job is sometimes video game, like specifically deductive game.
I feel like part of why you like this game is for sure.
Yeah, I mean, or vice versa. I don't know. It's kind of all linked in my head. But like occasionally I'll be working on a story and I'll need to fact check something, and so it'll be like a light bulb flashing moment when I'm like going through a court document or something, and I'll see a number and I'll be like, yes, that is the number that I already knew was true and this is confirmation of it or something like that. But I haven't had the fortune of doing someone a favor and them handing me a token from their bag as appreciation.
Yeah, I hope that happens someday.
I do. I also hope that happens to me one day.
Yeah, and I mean, sort of similarly, like if you've played a Guitar Hero game where you play a guitar solo and people cheer, like I just played a guitar solo and a bunch of people cheered.
Nice.
So
this is exactly like Rock Band.
I was like, wow,
Exactly
this
the
is
same.
just like Rock Band. I did not actually have that thought at the time.
And if you got one wrong note, did they immediately start booing like really loudly?
Yeah, and the band kind of stopped.
The whole band
and it was
stopped.
just like, whoa, get off the stage.
It's like the least realistic part of Rock Band, but it's so powerful and horrible.
Yes, very powerful. Yeah, no, my main thought is this makes me think of all of the times where video games have just sort of bled into life, which is a different thing than what Luke is talking about, that kind of Tetris effect. And actually talking about Blueprints, because Blueprints is set in just a house that you're sort of walking through, I can't remember what house it was. There were a few different houses that were like somebody else's house that I would go visit. And it was when I was playing through Blueprints and just having that feeling of like seeing a shovel leaning up against the wall and being like, oh man, yes, there's a shovel.
It's like, oh great, I can finally use that later. It's like,
right,
what?
I'll be able to dig up so
For
many
what?
gems.
This just happened to us. Oh my god! So we were at the Botanical Gardens a few days ago for a big work event. Bloomberg like rented out the whole park and had families come. It was really cool. But on top of the elevator, there was a little sign that was like elevator control room panel here. And Amanda's like, it's like blueprints.
Oh
I got to rewire this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also gardens and blueprints. So it's like, were you going in and being like, well, where's the little puzzle box that I have to solve?
Looking
or
for
like
little
whatever.
mounds of dirt.
Well, we saw mounds of dirt and we
Of
started
course.
digging them up.
Naturally,
All right, let's do
naturally.
some more questions. This is from Stuart. Stuart is asking if people report on Blizzard and Riot games differently. He writes that, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. Riot has this like incredibly interesting output of games like Arcane, like League and Arcane and Riftbound and Riot Forge, and the enormous success of Team Fight Tactics in China, especially in China, he says. And he says it's more interesting than Blizzard's output in their time, but compared to Blizzard, he says, I hear far fewer games journalists talking about engaging with what Riot puts out on podcasts and news posts and excitement, whereas Blizzard is a lot more, is covered a lot more. And so he's asking what gives. He says, it feels though if Blizzard had half of Riot's output in the past decade, those projects would be getting twice the media attention that Riot's stuff does now. I have a couple of theories about this. I'm going to give you guys two theories that I have to answer this question because I think it's an interesting question, and it's true. Riot has become a lot more successful than Blizzard in many ways, but does not get covered quite as much. So I have two theories. One is that most people who talk about games, such as the three of us and our friends at the Besties and a lot of other just kind of like podcasts that people are listening to, are millennials who grew up with Blizzard games and not Riot games. Riot started much later, and so people like us don't have, or people our generation don't have the same attachment to Riot stuff.
This is the everyone is 37 theory, but video game
It is.
version.
Everyone is 37. And if you were 37, that means you were, what, 7 or 8?
Exactly.
When, like, Blizzard games are starting to come out. And if you're 37 in 2026, that means you were 7 in 1996, which is when Diablo 1 came out. So yeah, there you go. But the other thing, and I think this actually might be the bigger thing, is that Riot's games are entirely PvP, whereas Blizzard's games, a lot of them have PvE campaigns and stories, and PvE is much more interesting to talk about than PvP. It's very difficult to talk about PvP in an interesting way, to report on it in an interesting way. There's not a lot to get there. That's why, despite the fact that Team Fortress 2 is one of the biggest games in the world, nobody is covering it on a regular basis unless something crazy happens involving stuff like outside of the game, like hackers or other kind of drama that doesn't involve the game, as opposed to the new Diablo where there's a new story and there's stuff to kind of sink your teeth into and talk about in a critical way. So I think Blizzard games generally have that. And even something like Overwatch, when people talk about Overwatch, they're generally talking about the story and the lore and stuff that's kind of around Overwatch, the esports, whatever it is, that isn't just the games themselves. So those are my two theories.
That second one is a good theory, I think. That it feels right for me as someone who doesn't really actually play games by either company that much, really. I guess I play Diablo or a bit, but not a lot. And yeah, that character story thing, the fact that there's this slightly different focus on character and story, like as you mentioned in Overwatch, how just people know Tracer and Diva and Winston. They just know these characters because of the little movies they made for them, because everyone played a little bit of that game. It's similar to how with Marvel Rivals, like I don't play that game, but I get press releases about it and I see news about it and I just know who all those characters are because they're all Marvel characters. And like Riot has kind of struggled with that. It's a little interesting to look at Riot's recent attempt to kind of bridge that gap with transmedia stuff, because that show Arcane was set in the League of Legends universe. I watched the whole thing. It was great, especially it started really great. And I think it got a little in the weeds and maybe crowded too much into its second season, but it was far from a bad show. It was like very, very well made, at times like really kind of amazing. And watching it, like when we then went back and watched Players, the TV show that we did a Beanscast on, there's a whole thing about Heimerdinger in that, where he's like, Heimerdinger, you're playing as Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger is a character in Arcane. And having watched it, I was like, oh, I actually know who Heimerdinger is, like in the lore of League of Legends now. I know what that means. And then I know all these other popular characters too. So in that respect, it was a success. Like when I see people talk about Jinx now, I'm like, yeah, Jinx, I remember her. She's like that main character from that show. Maybe not quite enough, but they are kind of trying to move in that direction. And I could see if they can do that more, they could kind of make the characters land a little more in the broader culture and just make people pay that different kind of attention to them.
Yeah, I think the other difference is that Riot has League of Legends, and a lot of the other games that Stuart lists, and even Arcane, are related to or direct spin-offs of League of Legends. And that's because League of Legends is one of the most popular games in the world. Not as much here in the United States, but in the world, it's extremely popular. And I think that the barrier to entry for a very difficult PvP game, like Jason said, if you're not already in, you're going to be turned off by that, because also it's been around for years. So you're like, okay, well, it's probably too late for me to understand it now. And that, I think, makes it very difficult to sell from a coverage at a mainstream media outlet perspective, or at least that's something that we ran into at Polygon. Like people, we talked about this on the Players episode too, because I talked about kind of getting people to read esports stories and how there were some difficulties with that. And we talked about League of Legends specifically. People should check out the bonus feed. It's so good, you guys. But honestly, I think that single player game piece is interesting too. I don't know if you two remember when people were talking about the 2021 game Ruined King of League of Legends story. I remember hearing that was really good. And I kept being like, oh, I should check it out. And the reason why I never did is just because I'm like, yeah, I don't know what any of the League of Legends characters are though. So like, I just couldn't get myself over that hump, even though I actually heard it was like a really good turn-based RPG, and I like turn-based RPGs, so that should have been my thing. And like you, Kirk, like I could have also just watched Arcane, but I don't think that would have actually gotten me to start playing League of Legends. That makes sense.
Right.
But so it's like they're almost there. But I do think that is a really key difference from Blizzard, where they have standalone games. You can kind of pick one and decide that's yours. Like when you go to BlizzCon, you can like get a pin for each of your games that you play, and like get a Diablo pin or a StarCraft pin, or like they really allow fans to identify themselves by which Blizzard franchise they are a fan of. Whereas I feel like if you're a Riot Games fan, you're into League of Legends probably, and maybe also all these other things as a result of that.
Valorant or whatever. Yeah, and if Blizzard does have one game that's a little more like that than their others, it's Warcraft, or one universe. It's Warcraft, and then World of Warcraft. But those have a single-player history, and a lot of different kinds of people play them. They weren't just PvP games.
Well, also World of Warcraft is a lot more community-oriented than League of Legends or Valorant are, because, again, it's PvE, so you're teaming up with your friends. And so the reason that things like BlizzCon exist is because all these people get their guilds together and hang out with all these people they've been playing with for years and years and years. League of Legends, of course, you have friends who you play with, but you're not going and meeting new people and like forging new friendships a lot of the time, because it's PvP, and chances are if you're playing with other people, they're yelling at you that you're doing something
nobody's
wrong.
Getting married in League of Legends.
That is true. Not a lot of weddings.
10 emails from people about some person who
being
got
like,
married.
We actually got married in League. Okay, honestly, I'm so impressed if you got married in League. Please write
It'd be
in.
sick.
Imagine two
How
people.
did you do it?
Two people are getting married in League, and the three other players are yelling at
defending
them,
them.
because they're missing
Like
they're
you're doing
missing
it
their
wrong.
bots. It's like, come on, what are you doing? What the hell?
I can't believe you picked that dress.
All right, let's keep going.
Oh my god.
Kirk, read this next one, please.
Sure. This is from Levi, who writes, if you died and in the afterlife you were allowed to see any statistics about your life, what stats would you want to know? Personally, I would want to know where I ranked in terms of running speed in all of history, or how many people were secretly into me. Those are two good ones from Levi to kick us
really
off.
Good.
That last one
fast
is
runner,
a little
though.
bleak. I would not want to know that. That's so depressing, because it's like,
That's true.
think of all the opportunities you missed.
Yeah, but who cares? I'm happily married.
That's at this
Whatever.
point, sure. Here's another bleak one. Imagine finding out how many like potentially important or life-changing or like interesting emails were sent to your spam filter,
Oh,
and so you never
God.
got to see them.
Talk
that's
about
an interesting
bleak.
one.
Yeah, I feel like I'd always want to know like what would happen if things went slightly differently. Like if I had taken different jobs, or like almost like the multiverse.
Is that a statistic,
I know
though?
it's not. Statistics wise, I just want to know like how intelligent am I? I know there's no good way to measure that in our world. The test for it are debunked and useless. But I'm like, I do kind of want to know how smart I am. Is that an egotistical answer? Whatever, it's the truth.
I would want to know, first of all, how many hours I spent in Assassin's Creed loading screens in my entire life.
Oh, that would be good. And
That
then
would
we
be
could
good.
see if I
And
was
we would
right.
know.
I know. I would want Jason to be there. So presumably we both died.
Well,
We
we're
died
all
together.
three
Well,
going to
Kirk-
die at the exact same time.
Yeah.
We're on a
I
live
mean,
show and like the ceiling collapses.
that's the triple click guarantee.
Yeah,
that we will
we
all
all
die
die
together.
on
yeah,
the same
part of our LLC
instant.
operating agreement has a death pact near the end of the agreement.
Yeah, it's
If
weird
we
that we
all-
all
Subsection
agreed on
C,
that.
death pact.
And,
we all
and
make it
there's
to
no way to
100.
vote out of it either. Like we baked in that we can't not have that
Right,
happen.
no, yes, that one's binding. That
It
one
was an odd decision.
We did have to sign the contract in blood. Yeah, so
we just signed that part in blood. I actually just initialed in blood, but apparently that's still binding. So, so I would want to know that. I would want to know how many A-list celebrities routinely listen to either Strong Songs or Triple Click.
Oh, that's
Ooh,
good.
that is
Because I
good.
know for a fact, I know there are celebrities, and I guess maybe not A-list, or what even is A-list? I know there are celebrities that listen to Strong Songs, and I know there are big people in the video game world that listen to Triple
Wait,
Click.
which ones? Wait, how do you know this? Which
No,
ones?
I can't betray.
What is this tease?
I'll betray one for myself. I will say Ronan Farrow read my Last of Us Part 2 review and started following me on Twitter, and that was a huge
That's a
deal
good
for me.
one.
To
That's a good
me,
one.
Ronan Farrow's an A-list celebrity.
Yeah, I think, and I would probably define celebrity fairly broadly, like people that I really admire. But also, it's fun to know that whatever Tom Cruise listens to Triple Click or something.
That'd be crazy if he did.
Maddie, it's funny you say that because Ronan is a big gamer. I've
Yes,
talked to
yeah.
him a
So
little bit.
it's not that weird that he would.
But a
that.
while back, Maddie, he also started following me on Twitter, and my first thought was, "Oh my God, what did I do?"
Yeah, is he looking into me? Like what?
Yeah.
Luckily, there was like a specific like cause and effect. Where
Yeah,
it was
no,
like,
no.
he
It's
retweeted my review and then started following me. He's not going to destroy
But
my
it's
life.
just, it's such a kudos to, it's like such a credit to his
know.
reputation.
His
that your first thought is
investigation
like, oh my God.
capabilities is that I'm like, well, you know what, Ronan, you're not going to find anything. Really boring life over here. Mostly light bulb stuff. Mostly dealing with light bulbs. That's about it. So, Jason, do you have any celebs following you or no? Do you know of any?
On Twitter? Well, I don't use Twitter anymore.
I feel like you probably more than the two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you probably
I've had
know.
some interactions. Like Kumail Nanjiani is like a big
Oh, of
gamer, and
course.
so I
Right,
talked to
right.
him a little bit about that sort of thing. Yeah, a couple of people here and there, but like, I don't know if any of them are secret. If any A-list celebrities are secretly listening to Triple
Yeah,
Click,
write
hit
in.
us up. Let me know.
We're inviting people to write in a lot.
It's the fun thing about making a show
In the
like
games world, I mean, I think in the games world, none of these are A-list celebrities, but like certainly there are people who are
Relatively A-list.
relatively big names who listen to our show and follow us because I've heard from them.
and follow all of our advice about
Yeah,
Yeah, of
and-
course.
and yes.
And
doing
we
professionally.
only ever hear from them that we got everything perfectly correct.
Exactly.
All of our takes are perfect and great.
Exactly.
I have one other thought related to this question, and that is that the thing I would like to know, like the pointless superpower that I would love to have, I've probably mentioned this on the show in the past, but I'll just mention it again, is just being able to know with pinpoint accuracy where any one object is, which obviously could be used for great and terrible ends, but I would just want to know, like what happened to my car that I drove when I was in high school? Where is it now? Is it in pieces? Maybe. Is it in some junkyard somewhere? Like, where is it? Or, that toy that I lost that I still think about sometimes because I just don't know what happened to it.
That's good.
Just being able to like see on like a kind of, Batman map of the world, and then it's kind of highlighted and I can zoom in and just see wherever that thing is sitting. With that microphone that I sold off 7 years ago, like who's using that right now? And it's like at Madison Square Garden and it's the main microphone there. It'd be kind of fun to just know random objects and like what became
You
of
just
them.
wish everything had an air tag on it.
Right, that I could see in like a perfect 3D model of the world.
Let's keep going. Maddie, read this next question.
This one's from Nick, who writes, "Hi, Triple Click. As much as the recent Xbox news sucks, it seems to have a silver lining. The affected studios, or at least most of them, will continue to exist. Why do companies like Microsoft and EA normally shut studios down instead of letting them spin off? And why is this different?"
This is a little bit ironic, and they couldn't have known this, but we're recording this the day after Double Fine, which is one of those studios, announced that they're laying off 23 people, which is about a quarter of their staff. So
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty
part of-
significant for their size.
Part
I'd
of the
say.
explanation here is that there's going to be layoffs and that it's not much of a silver lining for some of these people, and Compulsion will undoubtedly be laying people off as well. I think the main answer to this is that usually it's not an option for the studio heads. I think in some of these cases, the studio heads themselves had been put in a position by selling their companies where they had some money and could potentially help get the studio going after the sale. And the other thing, I think the main explanation here is the IP rights. So in this case, both Compulsion and Double Fine, the two companies that were allowed to spin out, both of them negotiated their way into getting control of their IPs. So like Double Fine is leaving Xbox and gets back control of Psychonauts and Brutal Legend and whatever else, Grim Fandango, whatever else they own. I don't know exactly what that list is. Stacking, because it's Xbox really wanted stacking, but that was the real sticking point. No, stacking point. But no, the IP
was a cool game.
IP. No, it is a cool game.
I think I gave it a kind of
they should do a remaster
mixed review when it came out, but I really have come to really like it.
It was a fun concept. But anyway, so the answer to that is usually because of that. And so like if you're EA and you're shutting down Visceral Games, the thing that makes Visceral valuable is Dead Space. Otherwise, it's just an expensive studio in San Francisco that would be very hard to maintain as an independent studio without being able to say, we're going to make a new Dead Space game, and so we're going to get funding to pay for our staff. And so if EA said, hey, Visceral, do you want to go and spin out? It would be impossible for them to do that and pay for themselves without having the rights to Dead Space. And so sometimes it's more preferable to get the severance from EA that you would get in shutting the studio down.
Yeah, and I can understand why Nick sees this as a silver lining in specifically the Double Fine case, just because the version of this story where Double Fine is shut down and no longer exists, that is a very heartbreaking outcome. Obviously, this is as well, and it really sucks that so many people were laid off. But imagining that, where like truly Double Fine dies, and we're sitting here and everyone is like doing eulogies for Double Fine, and just the feeling of like, man, wow, they got bought by Microsoft and it killed them in the end. Like that would have been a pretty awful outcome. Not that the current outcome is all rosy, but at least Double Fine still exists.
Yeah, and they have the opportunity, one hopes, to maybe build back up and be successful in an indie model. I don't know what the future holds. I'm trying to be optimistic, though.
Fingers are crossed. I'm rooting for them for sure.
Yeah.
I have a theory. I have a good theory, actually.
It could be bunnies.
Or maybe bunnies. No, I have a theory. We'll see if this comes to fruition. But there is a game publisher that was started last year by the people who all quit Annapurna. If you remember that story, there were like 26 people who all quit Annapurna Games, and they started a new publisher. They were funded by this private equity firm, Haveli Investments, led by this former games agent named Ophir Lupu. And so they then bought the catalog of Private Division, which was the label under Take-Two that did like Outer Worlds, the first Outer Worlds, and Ancestors, and a bunch of other stuff. These guys, Fictions, are actually publishing Beast of Reincarnation, which is a new game from Game Freak, the Pokemon people. I know it just dropped a bunch of names here, but Fictions is the
that's out really
one,
soon, right? That comes out.
Yeah,
in
that's about to come out. Fictions is the important name here. They're a publisher. They have money, and guess what? One of the top executives at Fictions, Greg Rice, former BizDev guy at Double Fine.
I didn't know that's what Greg was doing now.
And so my theory is that Fictions is going to find some way to make a deal with Double Fine and potentially...
I've got a theory. It could be Fictions.
There you go.
I think it's a good theory. Or it's a good idea. Maybe one of them is listening and now they'll do it. I don't know.
Yes.
Again, everyone in the games industry who listens to Triple Click takes our advice because I know we're right.
It's true. All right, let's do another question. This is from LJ, who writes, with the monumental release of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, the praise it is receiving reminds me of the accolades thrown around about Elden Ring, a monumental achievement for the medium from a director at the peak of his talents. This made me wonder, is FromSoftware the Christopher Nolan of games? They both make massively popular entertainment with huge budgets and manage to do so with a somewhat prestigious flair, at least compared to typical AAA blockbusters. Do you agree with that comparison? What other analogs would you draw? Is Rockstar James Cameron? I love this question. This is a great question.
Is Rockstar James Cameron is the perfect tag on this and like just sent me reeling when I first read this, LJ.
I feel like Rockstar is a little little bit more Scorsese.
Rockstar is Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, sure.
Scorsese.
Oh, no way. No, Tarantino is way too indie to be Rockstar. Like, Rockstar
But he is
like
antagonistic publicly, so I feel like personality-wise, there's some energy there of like...
No, I think Rockstar is Scorsese.
Scorsese doesn't quite feel right, though, because Scorsese, in addition to making mob movies, makes so much like artistic kind of, non-mob movies. I don't know.
So, I mean, Rockstar used to do that too. Red Dead is totally Scorsese.
Coming up with a Rockstar one is so much harder than coming up with like what FromSoftware
What about other
is.
ones?
Well, I want to start with LJ's actual comparison
Yes.
of Christopher Nolan to FromSoft, which I really like. It's purely based on vibes. Obviously, they're just completely
this
different.
is an absurd comparison in the first
forms
place.
of media, different, a whole creative team and one director with obviously his own. It's just completely different. But there is just sort of this like similarity, actually, like where they both do stand apart as these, just as LJ says, as these artistic triumphs that are also massively successful, that do it by leaning into the best elements of the medium in which they're working, where Nolan's films are so cinematically adventurous and cool, and also people really respond to them in the way they respond to movies. FromSoft games are so video games. They're so good at being video games. They're difficult. They're so thorny and twisty and knotty and complicated, and we obsess over them in the same way. And so there is actually, like, the root of this question is coming from, I think, the root comparison is a very strong one.
Let me give you an alternative theory, which is FromSoftware the David Lynch of games? Because I also think that Chris Nolan has a lot of work that's fairly accessible, even though it's also still prestigious and artistic. Some FromSoftware games are really weird and turn off a lot of people. And I don't think of early days of FromSoftware as having kind of the same impact on people as early Chris Nolan films. I think of people being these are niche and weird, and you're kind of a masochist if you like FromSoftware, in the way that people think of David Lynch's work, where it's really influential, really powerful, really cool and artistic, but also you have to be kind of a masochist to enjoy Eraserhead. I don't know. It doesn't totally work. This is all vibes-based.
I don't think David Lynch has had the same level of commercial success
True,
as FromSoftware.
so true.
Right,
The commercial
and
success part doesn't
Well,
work.
that's what makes the Nolan comparison so good, is the
It's true.
artistic plus the commercial.
And you can go back to Memento and Demon Souls or something. I mean, I guess going back to King's Field or whatever and further, it's a little
King's
different.
Field is really the Memento.
But the earlier Nolan was definitely stranger.
No, you're right.
And then, who is Kojima? Because Kojima's kind of a filmmaker anyways.
Kojima is Kojima.
But maybe he's a little bit David Lynchy.
I think he would love if we said that.
He would love that. I mean, he'd love to be compared
It's
to any
the
of these.
highest compliment we could possibly give.
Yeah,
to
I don't
him.
know if there's a good comparison. I think Nintendo is kind of like the Chris Columbus of the video
Oh
game
yeah, I could see
industry.
that. I get
the
that.
family friendly, some all-timers, some good classics.
I
in
think
there.
Nintendo is the Spielberg. I think because Nintendo is so successful, and I think of Chris Columbus as a little bit of a Spielberg knockoff. He does not do what Spielberg does as artistically or as well. Nothing really against him. He's made some good movies, but he's made a lot of movies that are kind of whatever.
Interesting, but Spielberg has taken some real risks that Nintendo doesn't really.
I think Nintendo
They
takes
take
so many
huge
risks. That's
risks.
kind of what's amazing about Nintendo.
No, I guess risks is the
I'm
wrong
playing
word.
Splatoon Raiders right now, and it's how is this the big shooter?
Risk is the
that's
wrong
out
word. Risk is the wrong word. Spielberg has gone into, let's say, more
Spielberg made a Holocaust movie.
mature territory.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
more
Nintendo's
Spielberg
not.
word.
What is Nintendo's Schindler's List?
What is the
Yeah.
Schindler's List?
What is the
of the
Schindler's
Nintendo
List
lineup? Is
of-
really what we're trying
What an
to answer.
upsetting question that LJ has provoked us to
Super
ask.
Mario Galaxy
First of
2
all,
is the Schindler's
the
List.
answer to that question is Yoshi's Woolly World. First of all, second of all, yeah, that's what I was looking for. It's more like Nintendo doesn't take the kind of artistic risk, or the Nintendo one of the conversations that Spielberg is willing to have. Maybe because I just think of them as more childish, I suppose.
Sure. I think the comparison kind of holds up for me because Spielberg is he is always trying something new. He's sort of he's like an IP unto himself in a similar way that Nolan is now. I mean, Nolan, I think, occupies a kind of similar space. albeit the movie world has changed quite a bit from when Spielberg was at the height of his powers. But still, it's like one of like the director whose name is just means something really specific and important. And Nintendo is kind of that way as well. Like they've been doing it for a very long time. They've covered a lot of ground. They're comfortable in so many different areas, and they're very much just like Nintendo. And you know when Nintendo puts out something, you're going to check it out, and it's probably going to be good. Steven Spielberg is very similar in that way. He's had his misses, but like he's covered a ton of ground. He's made movies in like every style. He's always coming back, and he's been with us for a very, very long time and is even still making movies. So it's like, I think there's a parallel there. Obviously, quite a bit of differences, but a little bit of a parallel too. What a fun question.
Yeah, what an utterly silly question.
Wait, okay, I have one more to throw at you guys.
Okay.
Tarantino is id Software. id Software is the Tarantino of the video game industry.
Yeah, I was thinking about who id would be. All right, say more.
I think that's, well, I mean, just kind of like very influential, a lot of commercial success in the early days, maybe a little bit
like
now.
Reservoir Dogs is Wolfenstein 3D. Like.
Yeah, and like Doom
Pulp
is
Fiction
like,
is Doom.
It's Pulp Fiction, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
very
I like
influential
that.
back then.
That holds.
I don't even agree with this.
very
I'm just coming up
violent.
with ideas to make
Well,
it work.
the violence.
The Hateful Eight
biggest.
is like Rage or something.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, some weird styles a little bit later on.
That's funny.
And then kind of like has just disappeared. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, I guess, and it hasn't quite made the pivot to like these kind of broader, the sort of some of his more recent stuff that's a little more, I don't want to say artsy. It's a little less lurid. I guess I don't even know. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood actually is pretty lurid. So maybe I take that back.
I feel like
anyways.
we're illustrating one of the difficulties of the question here, because like now that we're throwing id Software in there, I'm like, well, but the original id Software had these big characters in and of themselves who were auteurs. Like you had the Romero and Carmack dynamic and like all the other guys. I mean, I recently read Doom Guide Masters of Doom, so I'm kind of biased
right.
here.
We're personifying a studio.
But all those guys are gone. So it's like we're now talking about a version of id Software that's super, super different from the original one. So like having Tarantino encompass the entirety of id Software is utterly laughable.
It just doesn't work.
But
you're right.
That's why this question is hilarious and in fact good, because it is silly and it doesn't
actually,
matter.
I mean, it's actually fitting for FromSoftware because you have Miyazaki, who's been there.
Right. That's almost why I feel like it's
and
easier
presumably a lot of other people as well.
for like auteur-led studios, whether it's fair to say that those auteurs have creative control or not. I think it's a little easier for us to make comparisons between them and movie directors, which comes with all the thorny considerations that movies have as well. Like who's really in charge of everything?
Or Japanese studios where there's a more consistent, lineup
Staff,
of people working there. Like the staff is just more consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that from what I've learned about Japanese studios, the kind of the auteur vision sort of thing is a lot more kind of prevalent at Japanese studios, where in Western studios, sometimes we see someone as being an auteur, but actually it's like some other people below them who have a way more like say and kind of input into what the final product turns out to be. I think just because of the way Japanese development culture works, there actually is there's a lot more hands-on from the person on top and a lot more just kind of auteur-driven direction.
I'm just enjoying imagining Quentin Tarantino stops making movies, but like the people who used to work for him keep making movies as Quentin Tarantino movies.
That's the world that we live in right now.
And everyone's like, man, this
games.
new Quentin Tarantino movie is great. And then some critics are like, actually, it's not even the same guy.
But like no one really cares about that because like that criticism doesn't matter to people.
The collective of people known as Quentin Tarantino. God. Let's read one more real quick. Kirk, why don't you just read this last one real quick?
Sure. John writes, I'm 47 years old and I have been gaming my entire life. I wait until games are under $10 on Steam and slowly work my way through my back catalog. My son is 12 and plays 3 free-to-play games. He puts free in quotes: Roblox, Fortnite, and Brawl Stars. He has spent well over $500 on them. Every holiday, all he asks for is virtual money for these games so that he can buy the latest skin, weapon, or hero. But that's the thing. There's always a new skin, weapon, or hero. He has literally bought into a cycle that will only end when he stops playing the game. kids these days. Am I right?
Oh my God. Jesus
Yeah.
fucking Christ. Okay, I have a quick
Wild.
anecdote to share. So I will never let my kids play these games, first of all.
Wow.
Second of all, my daughter has this elementary school yearbook that she got from her school, and the sixth graders all have this section, because this elementary school ends at sixth grade. So the sixth graders all have a section where they all get these little interviews. It's very cute. And in the interview, they put favorite game / app as like one of the questions they're asked. And a bunch of them are like Roblox and Minecraft and YouTube and just kind of the stuff you'd expect. But there's one who put Hollow Knight, and then there's two different kids who put Undertale.
Hell yeah.
One
Wow.
put Undertale / Deltarune. So some of the kids are all
Those
right.
3 kids are going to form a podcast in 20 years. And when all 3 of us die on the same day, you can all stop listening to us, of course, and listen to that podcast.
Yeah, they'll take over Triple Click. Triple Click will go on just like Tarantino, but it won't be the same
Exactly.
Triple Click.
Those children will have to sign the blood pact.
Well, yeah,
That's,
that's
once
part of
they
it.
overwrite our blood with their blood, then we're finally free.
For Tarantino, it's a very bloody blood pact. I mean, our old boss, Steven Totillo, his policy is he'll let his kids play anything, but not free to play games. Like specifically, that is the rule. No free to play games, which I personally think is an excellent rule. Like,
I think it makes sense.
Keeping kids away from any predatory stuff, anything that is like trying to get you to spend money beyond what you were just paying for the price of a game, I think is just a good habit in general. And that's my plan with my kids is like they can play anything on my Switch. They can play stuff like as they get older, they can play stuff that's more appropriate for them, yada, yada, but no Fortnite, no Minecraft. They can definitely play, but no Fortnite, no Roblox, like none of the free to play stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. So thank you again to everybody who sent in questions. We might do another burning questions next week, or at least another one in August. We'll see, because we got so many good ones. Once again, you can reach us at tripleclick@maximumfun.org. Let's take a break, and we'll be back with one more thing.
In 2026, our comedy podcast, Sawbones, is one of the most reputable sources for medical information. Does that make me feel great? No.
No, me neither. But I do like to think we're doing our part in making sure that we're fighting the pseudoscientific misinformation that has pervaded modern society.
Yeah, but we're doing our part over here on Sawbones every week, a marital tour of misguided medicine. It's not all serious stuff. We're still getting into all the wild, weird ways we used to try to heal people over the years, but we're also trying to keep tabs on the evolving situation.
Yeah, we can talk about drinking raw milk and eating mummies. It's Sawbones.
That's right, it's Sawbones. It's every Tuesday, and it's on MaximumFun.org or wherever you get a podcast these days.
On Judge John Hodgman, the courtroom is fake, but the disputes are real.
Brian would say, I'm the Gumby of this family. He's just not.
Claiming to be Gumby is an un-Gumby-like claim.
No, it's just Gumby and I being our authentic selves.
So what's your complaint? Too many sauces?
There are no foods on which to put the sauces.
Have we named all the sauces on the top shelf yet? Not even close. You economize when it comes to pants.
Truly, it's not about the cleanliness of the pants.
Well, why isn't it? This is what I want to know. Judge John Hodgman, fake court, weird cases, real justice. On MaximumFun.org, YouTube, and everywhere you get podcasts.
And we are back. It is time for one more thing. Maddy, start us off.
Sure. I've been playing a video game called Hell Clock, and it's really cool. Have you two heard of Hell Clock at all?
No. Good name, though.
Great
I know,
name,
isn't
yeah.
it? It
Haven't
came
heard of
out
it.
exactly.
It's a real Spider Mansion name.
I know. It's almost like we gave them advice. Came out a year ago, and they just put out DLC, which is how I heard about it, because a couple friends of mine were checking it out with the DLC drop. And it's so cool. So Hell Clock is a roguelike, whatever. It's one of those. I can't be bothered to know the difference between those
Rogue
terms. It's similar to the
elements.
video
Rogue.
game Rogue, if you've heard of that. Or in my case, it's similar to the video game Hades. But it has a clock in it. This is like the main difference. It's got a hell clock, you see. So when you're descending into hell, there's a timer, and that fundamentally changes how a run works and your psychology around the run, because instead of the run ending with you dying, it could end with you dying and getting reset, back to home base, there is a ticking clock which forces the run to end at a certain point, no matter how far you got. And that encourages you to level up your character back at home base more frequently. And one of the things that you can level up is the clock itself. You can extend its time, but also the abilities in this game are so cool. They are like interlocking stacking abilities that kind of turn you into more of like a Vampire Survivors type of a murder machine, such that you proceed through hell significantly faster the more abilities you cultivate and the more you stack them. So for example...
So hold on, just to zoom out for a sec. So this is an isometric action
isometric
RPG,
action
like
RPG.
Hades.
Yeah. Kind of like Hades, like you're looking down, you're going through
kind
hell.
of grittier. I'm looking at footage of it. It's like a little more Diablo vibes.
So I guess I'll take a little pause and I'll explain like what the vibe is, because the vibe is part of why I'm playing it for so long, because I actually love the atmosphere of this game, and then I'll explain the stacking abilities and how fun they are. So this game is made by a Brazilian development team, and it is about a historical event in Brazil called the Canudos Massacre that I knew nothing about, and now I know more about, in part because of this game, and also because I just wanted to read about it after this, because I was really interested in it. So this was this historical event in the late 1800s. Let me see if I can explain it really quickly. This super religious Catholic mystic guy became very popular with marginalized people at the time, like newly freed slaves who didn't have resources and money, indigenous people, other just people who were marginalized by society ended up following this guy because they felt really unsupported by the Brazilian government. They ended up creating this sort of commune/town called Canudos, and the Brazilian government went there and killed everybody because they perceived it as a threat to the government, because it was, despite that it was like this religious enclave, it was also like this really far left extremist kind of ideology that was like really fascinating. And even now historians are kind of like divided on how to characterize this guy, because it's like, was he this cult leader? Like, should we like kind of not see him in a good light? Or was he like this kind of hopeful figure? So Hell Clock depicts him as a hopeful figure, and they don't name the guy who founded Canudos by name, but it's kind of like implied that that is the setting here and that's what happened, and it's right after the massacre, and you're this regular guy who is suddenly having to fight the Brazilian government, except in this version of the world, heaven and hell are real, Catholicism and all of its trappings are real, and the Brazilian government is led by, or the military at least, is led by the literal Antichrist. And so all of these demons from hell are what are massacring the people of Canudos, and you have to descend in hell to rescue the guy who like saved all of you. And that is, it's like a very, very religious game in the way that like Diablo is, and you could argue Hades is, although it's about an ancient religion. But it also just has like, it has really cool aesthetics and vibes, and like history lesson wise, I think it's very interesting. And it's like a very Brazilian game, like very Brazilian team. So anyway, the ability stacking, this is the other reason to keep playing the game and why it's fun. So it is an indie team. I will say there's like a lot of weird difficulty spiking. I don't think the balance is perfect by any means. And I think part of that is because like they're called relics. I think a lot of them are like procedurally generated. So like sometimes you can kind of break your character as well.
Is the game in early access? Or
no, it was out.
Out?
It's out, baby. They're still updating it and they're still putting things out for it. But like, I just wanted to warn people that since it's an indie, it's not as like smoothly polished as a Diablo, for example. There's definitely some spikes in it where I'm like, okay, interesting. Like this is made by a smaller team. So basically, you know how in Hades, like everything kind of revolves around the dash mechanic? In this game, you're like a gunslinger. So your dash is on a cooldown. So like that also is something that kind of alters the game. So even though it's isometric, you're auto aiming, and like you see a couple zombies and you can automatically aim at them and like kill a couple guys and then like keep walking instead of dashing. And like that's like how you start off. You're just individually killing guys by hitting the fire button. And then eventually you like get an ability where, okay, maybe the dash mechanic cools down faster every time you kill someone. Okay, great. Now you can dash more. Then maybe you unlock an ability where you suddenly have like a circle of spinning knives around you, but that's on a cooldown, except maybe you can have that power up with either every time you kill somebody or every time you dash. And then you stack those things on top of each other. And like you have an ability that's like tied to your health, for example. Like you can tie your dash to your health and be like, okay, I'm going to dash, but it's going to take away some of my health every time. And then you get a different ability that you're like, this is going to give me health every time I kill someone. So then the faster you kill the zombie guys, the more your abilities continue to stack, and you just have to like keep paying attention to like your levels and try to move as fast as you possibly can through each level, which is its own challenge. And like this is kind of like what we were talking about with Mina the Hollower, and like I feel like other games where you like have stacking abilities and you need to just create like a murderous hurricane guy,
right? Build crafting,
and like it gets
synergy
really crunchy at a certain point.
This looks dope as hell. I'm watching footage of it, and just like
it's
the
fun.
fully powered up characters are insane. It does look like Vampire Survivors.
So this came out a couple of years ago.
It came out
is there a reason?
1 year ago. Yeah, the DLC just came out this past week.
The DLC just came out. Okay,
it's
so
like
that's
an
how
annual
you discovered
DLC.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So like that's why I'm playing it, and it's really fun and cool. And I learned about the Canudos Massacre, but also the game is very cool and fun.
Yeah, art, man, the cutscene art. It's kind of like looks a little like Preacher, like those comics. It's kind of got that.
Yeah,
sort of.
and like they do have an English voice cast that's pretty good, but the Portuguese voice acting really good. So
love Portuguese.
That's how
in
I've been playing it and hearing it.
Cool.
It's got spooky music and sad voice acting for a sad situation.
I also enjoy that the developer's name is Rogue Snail, which is a fun name for a developer and also makes me think of Rogue Amoeba, who make audio software.
That's
and
fun.
Both like a rogue, unlikely thing, a little bit Spider-Man-shiny as well. So they know how to name things.
Yeah, Rogue Snail,
Hell Clock.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm into it.
It's fun. I'm not sure if I'm going to beat it because, like, again, like I said, at this point I have so many relics and so many abilities I'm stacking, and like it's getting really unwieldy. And like
the ARPGs like this kind of sometimes they run out, and you're like, all right.
I'm like, this is going to run its course with me emotionally. But
I had a lot of
it
fun
has very much captured my imagination this week, and I've really enjoyed it. And this is like one of those games where you look at a Steam review and somebody has 135 hours and like a negative review, and you're like, okay, yeah, sure, dude. Like there are a couple of those in there, and
sure,
I get it. But yeah, it's called Hell Clock. It's really cool.
Nice, yeah, it looks great.
Kirk, what's your one more thing?
My one more thing is a book that I just finished. I finally listened to all of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books. Maybe I'll make that my one more thing later so I can talk a little more about those.
You finished all of them? Oh my goodness.
I listened to them. Yeah, there's 8. They were like my soundtrack for getting ready for the live show. I was basically not listening to much music because I was just so focused on the show. And then I just listened to those Dungeon Crawler Carl. What a fun experience that was. But no, the book that I read was a normal book that I returned to, I returned to reading actual books, and it was really great.
Actual book.
A non-audio book, I should say.
Okay. I couldn't tell if that was a slight diss to Dungeon Crawler Carl.
No. A printed book of words that I'm reading instead of an audio book that I'm listening to. You're right, that wasn't very clear.
Instead of a collection of RPG mechanics.
Of course, I listened to the audiobooks of Dungeon Crawler Carl. The only way, in my opinion, to experience Dungeon Crawler Carl is the audiobook. But no, with this book, I read it. The book is a book called Still Life by the author Louise Penny, who I'm sure some listeners will know because she is a very celebrated mystery author who has been writing, well, I know this series, the Armand Gamache novels, named for Armand Gamache, the detective, the Quebecois detective, who is the central character of this series. So there are many returning characters, the residents of a small town in outside of Montreal called Three Pines. And Still Life is the very first one. This is a recommendation from my friend Steph, who, along with the two of you and my sister, plenty of other people, is one of my go-to book recommenders. And I feel very lucky that I have these people in my life who read a lot of good books, who have good taste and recommend them. That's really something that I've tried to cultivate, and I feel very lucky. And Steph has great taste in books and is always telling me about great ones. And I've been reading a lot of murder mysteries lately, many of them recommended by you, Jason. And have been talking with her about them. There's a Murder Club, the Anthony Horowitz books. And those were cool, but she's like, these Louise Penny books, I think she's read all of them. There's 19 or something. You should really read them. They're great. So I got still life from the library. This is a book from 2005. And holy shit, it's really good. From the beginning, it is unlike any of the other murder mysteries I've been reading in a number of ways. It is very much a murder mystery. A woman is killed at the beginning. Armand Gamache and his team are called in. He works for the sort of Quebec, police, it's kind of, I think, broader than a local police force. It's, all related to how Quebec, distributes police power. But he's essentially like a state investigator, I guess is how I would think of it. And he comes in to investigate this murder along with his team, and you get to know his team, but also you get to know all of the people in this small town and the people who knew this woman who was killed. And what makes it so remarkable is partly the writing. Louise Penny, I think, is a beautiful writer of words. The sentences are gorgeous. The way she picks these arresting images and ways of describing feeling, the choices she makes with the thoughts that her characters explore in any given moment are so striking. It's just been a while since I read a murder mystery that was written with such interest in humanity and character and emotion and history and just, I don't know, she's a really empathetic writer. And I mean, the very opening scene is Armand Gamache finding a dead body and examining it. And just the way he's described initially, the thoughts he has, it was so striking. It completely shook me. And then I just tore through the book. Bing! Kirk here. I'm editing the episode and I'm going to cheat a little bit because I meant to bring down my copy of the book so that I could actually read a couple of paragraphs from that opening chapter to convey what I'm talking about. And now I'm editing the show and I've got my copy of the book here, so I'm going to do that. This is actually starting with the second paragraph. We have been introduced to the woman, Jane Neal, who is lying dead. That is the very start of the book. She is an elderly, beloved resident of this small town, Three Pines. And we begin then the second paragraph with Armand Gamache. And I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs to convey what, to me at least, makes Louise Penny's writing so special. Chief Inspector Armand Gamache of the Sûreté de Quebec knelt down, his knees cracking like the report of a hunter's rifle, his large, expressive hands hovering over the tiny circle of blood marring her fluffy cardigan, as though like a magician he could remove the wound and restore the woman. But he could not. That wasn't his gift. Fortunately for Gamache, he had others. The scent of mothballs, his grandmother's perfume, met him halfway. Jane's gentle and kindly eyes stared as though surprised to see him. He was surprised to see her. That was his little secret. Not that he'd ever seen her before, no. His little secret was that in his mid-50s, at the height of a long and now apparently stalled career, violent death still surprised him. Which was odd for the head of homicide, and perhaps one of the reasons he hadn't progressed further in the cynical world of the Sûreté. Gamache always hoped maybe someone had gotten it wrong, and there was no dead body. But there was no mistaking the increasingly rigid Miss Neal. Straightening up with the help of Inspector Beauvoir, he buttoned his lined Burberry against the October chill and wondered. And that's the end of the introductory section of the book. I just think that's really great. Okay, back to my broader description of this wonderful novel. Bing! Another thing that Penny does that I think is really cool and is quite a bit different from any murder mystery that I've read, certainly, is she has an omniscient narrator who is constantly bouncing around each scene. So you'll be in a scene, a sort of dinner party with this group of old friends in this small town, and you'll jump from person to person to person with no warning. It's all very organic and smoothly handled, but it'll be one person's perspective, and then the next thing you know, it's the thoughts of the person that guy was talking to. And she just does this through the whole book. She never really sticks with one perspective. You'll get to, Armand Gamache will get a chapter, and he's the investigator, so he's thinking through, what may have happened. But then suddenly you'll be hearing from the guy that he's with, who's like a suspect. And so you will see the suspect's perspective and many other people's perspectives. And it winds up creating this incredibly rich sense of community. And because she's such an empathetic, wonderful writer of characters, the characters just come to life immediately, very, very early in the book after this woman has been killed, who is like a pillar of the community and beloved by everyone. All of her friends get together for a kind of a mourning party, or actually it's even before she's died. They get together for a different reason, to like help their friends cope with something bad that's happened. And just, I was amazed. Within like 3 pages, I knew all of these characters. Like I knew what their deal was. I could tell them all apart. I could remember their names, because she draws the characters so well and is aided by the fact that she's jumping into their perspective really quickly. So I really highly recommend this book. It is, you know, essentially a murder mystery. It is a whodunit. It has a very satisfying, I think, payoff. But so much of what made it so rewarding to me was just getting to know all of these people and the little subplots and sub-stories that I learned about over the course of this investigation as Gamache and his team kind of turn over rocks and upset the balance in this small community, and we get to know everybody. And I can't believe that there are so many more. Steph tells me, you know, well, I'm glad you like the first one because they just get better. And there are books that focus on individual characters that we're just getting to know. There are really flawed characters in this first book who I gather go on to become, you know, mainstays of the story and grow and become fan favorites. I'm so excited to be starting out this series. And I wanted to throw it out there because I was just totally unaware of Louise Penny. I was not aware of these books, even though they are very well regarded, and she is a very successful mystery author. So that is my recommendation for Still Life by Louise Penny, and more broadly, I think of the Armand Gamache novels, which I'm very excited to be starting.
I'm sold.
Yeah, that sounds great. I had heard of Louise Penny, but I didn't know what the deal was with her, so I really appreciate the pitch.
She is great.
The omniscient moving around between characters feels very Stephen King-ish.
Yeah, I guess he does do that from time to time, but he also restricts his chapters to a certain character's point of view. And then sometimes he'll just zoom out and tell you future events. Right?
No, he'll bounce around between characters.
It's a little different, I guess. But yeah, it would be interesting to go and do a point-to-point comparison just to understand the style.
Usually he'll do segment breaks, to be fair, between when he's doing that. Anyway, okay, my one more thing is also a book. It is a book in one of our favorite genres, which is very wealthy people doing bad things and interesting things happening to them, tragedy befalling them. It's a book called Alan Opts Out by Courtney Maum, and it is a book about this ad executive who is very wealthy and lives in a posh Connecticut suburb, a fictional town called Bellport, where they have very strict rules about how much your lawn must be mowed and whether you're allowed to have certain things on your property. And his name is Alan, and Alan, after missing out on something important at work, has a mental breakdown and decides to opt out.
You can leave
of his life, and at the same time, his wife is trying to social climb within the Bellport community and trying to join this kind of secret society, like women's social club called the Queen Anne's. And she's trying to do this while her husband is having a little bit of a breakdown, which causes some problems. And their 2 kids, meanwhile, are dealing with problems of their own, including one of their daughters thinks that she can talk to animals. It all makes for a very interesting story that was very entertaining and fun to read, in large part because of the characters in this Bellport community all doing ridiculous things and saying ridiculous things.
And this is a funny book, right?
It's a funny book. It is a very entertaining book.
Comedic book.
In between each chapter is kind of like a look at, like, I don't think they call it Facebook, but it is essentially a Facebook page for the Bellport community. And you'll have these kind of like messages being exchanged by oftentimes the women of Bellport, who are very concerned with like the things that are going on at other people's houses and are talking about this constantly.
Oh, and it's like epistolary style, like "Where'd you go, Bernadette?" kind of.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we're seeing some of the kind of the events unfold through those little chats in between
it's such
the
a
chapters.
funny way. It's a great way to convey jokes, like about, okay, we need to talk about what just happened, that kind of thing.
We all understand posting. Everyone can get that.
There's also an excellent Queen Bee character who you just truly love to hate, and who comes in and plays a pretty major role in the story. And yeah, I don't want to say much more about what happens to Alan and his lifestyle and how things change, but it's very entertaining read. I recommend it. Very reminiscent of like Your Friends and Neighbors and other stories in that
Long Island Compromise
vein. Yeah. I mean, the description for this book is like for fans of something, and Taffy brought us our actor. So yes. It's called Alan Opts
Nice,
Out.
that sounds great.
It's cool.
Yeah, it sounds
I
good.
recommend it. All right, that is that for this week's episode. Thank you again to everybody who sent in questions. Thank you, Kirk and Maddy, for being here and for agreeing to die at the same time as me. I really appreciate
welcome.
that.
Anytime,
I think
dude.
our listeners.
I mean, once you make a blood pact, you can't really go back on it. But you're welcome.
No regrets. It's fine. I'm ready.
no regrets. Actually, the date is tattooed on all of our
Yeah, but we won't
skin.
reveal it. You'll know when it
reveal it.
happens.
Well, if you find it, then you'll have power over my soul, and I can't have that. So.
We might reveal it one day, but it will only be as a world premiere at the Game Awards.
Right. If a number of certain circumstances are met, then it will be revealed. But that's also in the contract, which, of course, no one will ever read.
One of the circumstances is that Jeff Keighley has to unveil it for us. But
That's only one of the
they're
circumstances,
elaborate.
though. It's really complicated.
Well, and Jason, revealing that circumstance, actually, per the contract, it was on this day, July 29th,
Right,
2026, we
forgot
must
about that.
reveal the
Right.
Keighley circumstance to the world. We've now fulfilled that, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing I remembered to do that.
I know.
Otherwise we would have been in
I would
trouble.
have had to bing in and do it, and I don't know if it would have actually worked. So it's good that you remember.
No, it can't be a Bing. That's the
Yeah,
But,
I was trying to remember if that was a little qualification.
But there is a clause that says that post-death Bings are allowed. So like,
Right.
when those new people
And
take
all
over,
that implies.
well, right. Well, so what's going to happen is that new group of kids is going to take over Triple Click,
Right,
but
right.
Bings will still
Right,
happen.
right,
and
right,
they'll
right,
still be
of course.
Kirk bigging it.
Yes. And the question will be, did I record these before I died or after?
I mean, that'll be some people's question. We'll know the answer.
Yeah.
We'll know the answers.
We won't reveal it.
We will not even in a Bing.
No, we won't. Well, until the next great revelation comes, this was a lot of fun, as always. And I'll see the two of you next week.
See you both next time.
Bye.
Triple Click is produced by Jason Schreier, Maddie Myers, and me, Kirk Hamilton. I edit and mix the show and also wrote our theme music. Our show art is by Tom DJ. Some of the games and products we talked about on this episode may have been sent to us for free for review consideration. You can find a link to our ethics policy in the show notes. Triple Click is a proud member of the Maximum Fun Podcast Network, and if you like our show, we hope you'll consider supporting us by becoming a member at MaximumFun.org/join. Email us at tripleclick@MaximumFun.org and find links to our merch store and our Discord server in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.